Hello, everyone. I'm Omar Carrera, CEO of Canal Alliance. Now, I'm going to provide some quick instructions en Spanish. Bienvenido al foro de esta noche con candidatos que se postulan para la Junta de Educación de las Escuelas de la Ciudad de San Rafael. Este foro está siendo grabado y presentado en inglés con interpretación simultánea en español. Haga clic en el botón de interpretación de idiomas que aparece en la parte inferior de su pantalla si desea escuchar esto en español. Gracias a Claudia Bockting, quien es nuestra intérprete esta noche. Let me be the first to thank our candidates for participating in this forum. This event was hosted with the purpose of providing a non-partisan and non-adversarial platform for voters to get to know more about each of you before they cast their ballot. The school board members have a significant influence on setting the vision and direction of our local school systems. If we want our school systems to produce positive outcomes for all students, regardless of race, ethnicity, socioeconomic, and immigration status, we will need leaders who have the knowledge and insight to remove the systemic barriers that prevent success and progress for many students of color. We hope that over the course of this program, you will learn more about the candidates and what they hope to do for the schools in San Rafael. Enjoy the event. Gracias.
Hi, I'm Ann Wakely, your moderator for this evening's forum. Thank you for joining us for this candidate forum featuring candidates from San Rafael City Schools Board of Trustees Area 4. Thank you to our host partners, Marin Promise, 10,000 Degrees, Canal Alliance, Community Action Marin, and Schools Rural Marin for inviting the League to moderate. We are honored to be here. We would also like to thank our host partners along with members of the public for submitting tonight's questions. The League is a trusted, nonpartisan membership organization that encourages informed and active participation in government. We promote voter education and advocate for issues. We never endorse or oppose candidates or political parties. Moderating candidate forums is an important part of our work. With me tonight are League members Elaine Biagini, our timekeeper, Dee Vittori, and Nancy Bell, off-screen providing Zoom support, and Carol Inkles and Linda Sula also helping out off-screen. A reminder, all of the candidates have agreed to participate under the ground rules set for this forum. This forum is being simulcast on Marin TV Channel 30, facilitated through our partnership with the Community Media Center of Marin. It is being recorded and will be available through our website at marinlwv.org. It will be rebroadcast on Marin TV Channel 30. Days and times will be posted on our website. Candidates will be allowed specific times for their opening and closing remarks and to respond to questions. There are two candidates running for San Rafael City Schools Board of Trustees Area 4. Both are with us this evening, Faye Bourret and Carolina Martin. The candidates are invited to make a 2-minute opening statement. After that, each will have 90 seconds to answer each question. To be fair, I will rotate the order in which they respond to the questions. For opening statements, we will begin with Faye.
Thank you very much for inviting me to participate in this discussion. Faye Bourret, San Rafael City Schools Trustee for candidate. A little background about me. I came to Marin County about 40 years ago. My family, my daughter, husband, and myself settled in the Dominican area and were parents in the former school community. To the board and the community, I bring a skill set spanning over 4 decades in business. I have a breadth of experience, including finance, budgeting, building operations, human resources and training, information technology, marketing, and more. So my business experience is important to me and to the community as a volunteer because it is diverse from the rest of the board. We know that diversity of experience and diversity of thought lead to better outcomes. Now, let me focus on my 3 top priorities: academic achievement, safety, and engagement. Academic achievement, the issue that our kids need to perform up to grade level, math, reading, writing, and they don't today. And we even struggled with that before the shutdown. I think we can do better. Next is safety, because children cannot learn if they do not feel safe. Two primary areas I think about in today's news: fentanyl use, because of how dangerous that poison is, and child sex trafficking. We know Marin is a hub for trafficking in the Bay Area. And thirdly, community and parent engagement. Again, the notion that we are all involved. If there ever was a time when we need to be involved, it is now, after this 2 years of parents teaching their children at home. I am focused on these and my service to school board trustee board.
Thank you, Faye. Carolina.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you for having me this evening, and thank you to the League of Women Voters in Marin. Hello, my name is Carolina Martin, and I am running as the incumbent that was voted in February of this past year. I'm a proud mom of third grade daughters in our San Rafael City schools and a past public school teacher. I am a product of our K through 12 public schools. I came to this country at the age of 2 from my proud Mexico City. And that lived experience as a bilingual, bicultural person makes me a key person in our community now. I moved to San Rafael roughly 12 years ago. And from the beginning of the time in San Rafael, I was an active volunteer using my bicultural, bilingual skills. I taught school at night for ESL learners. And I also volunteered in various roles. And I also used my coaching skills for my own kids and other students. I fully believe in the power of education, which is why my undergrad degree is in education. My master's is in educational leadership and administration. And I've spent my career focused on educational advocacy, youth, economic mobility, and working at large and small organizations fighting poverty. I believe that my experience and my background as a former public school teacher, a public school mom, someone that's run large nonprofits, serves me well in the role to advocate on the behalf of San Rafael families, students, and teachers. I am supported by organizations, the community trusts. I'm supported by the Democratic Party, fellow teachers, my trustee school board members, city council members, and our first female mayor, Kay Collin. And that is just to name the few. I want to thank you for this evening. And I think everyone should do their research on who aligns with their focus this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. All right, now for the questions. We will begin with Carolina. The first question: what do you view as the role and primary responsibilities of a school board trustee?
Yes, so thank you for that question, Anne. So as a current school board member, my job is, there's a lot of people that think that being a board member is being, rolling up your hands and getting in there. And our job is to actually get in there, but to support the superintendent, to support the administration, to make sure we're aligned with what the strategic plan is, and also look at the data and support our leadership as to we move forward to educational excellence for all of our students. I also think it's our governing to look at our fiduciary. What are we doing with our budget? How are we executing that? And so I feel very proud of Jim Hugaboon and where he's taking our leaders and our community. So it definitely is not to get in the mud, but actually to be strategic with the superintendent.
Thank you. I just want to remind the candidates to speak slowly so that our interpreter can have a chance to interpret. Thank you. All right, Faye,
Yes.
you'd like to answer?
Thank you very much for the question. Yes, the role of the school board trustee. School boards are democratic representation of the community to the local school, the public school system. It's a legal obligation to ensure education, and it's an educational policy-making body for the school district. So the trustee role is oversight on behalf of the San Rafael community to in operating the public school. A trustee serves on the district board of 5 members in our district to set and achieve goals. They hire and evaluate the superintendent. They set and support the district priorities, working with the superintendent, advocate on behalf of the students and the community for public education, and they lead in the community on education issues. And they maintain accountability for student learning, for curriculum, and for fiscal conditions and budgeting. Thank you. And much more. I have a few seconds. I invite you to attend and get on YouTube and watch several of the past meetings because they're full of interesting things. We just had one Monday night, and the previous one was September 12th. Great information for our community.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, and Carolina, you will go first this time again. As our schools move to a more digital model, what solutions do you have to support families when the parents are not fluent in English or technology?
Thank you, Anne. So I think one thing that the pandemic showed us, as someone that taught kindergarten during the pandemic with my twins, is that there is a large digital divide that exists and that we're trying to figure out. I know we currently use as a parent Square. And I think one of the things the district has done really well is has given everyone a Chromebook to take home in the schools. And I think that that's a good first step. I think the other challenge is assuming that once you get those things in your house, whether it's a Chromebook or Parent Square, that you know how to execute that. So I do think that we really need to think of how we're communicating, overly communicate, have focus group at schools, having kind of a train the trainer, because there is a lot of digital divide. And even myself that uses Parent Square, I get confused on where to click and how to do. So I do think that it's important to do a digital model, but it's also really important to bring the parents along with that journey, because it is overwhelming when you have homework, you have all these other pressing items and your own job. So how are we thinking about bringing the parents along in that digital world? Thank you.
Thank you. And I just want to remind everyone again to speak slowly. I know it's hard to remember that, but please do. Okay, Faye?
Right. So we're talking about a digital model and where parents aren't fluent in digital things of the digital world. And how can we solve that problem and build a bridge for them? And I think one of the things that we can consider is using our schools in our school buildings and classrooms, and parent engagement and community engagement is just so important now. We certainly learned that it's more important now than ever. Bring in the parents, offer them the classes, and working perhaps side by side with the students in how to navigate. I've had some experience with teaching senior citizens how to operate various kinds of technology. Sometimes it's very difficult. So we can use our school buildings as engagements. That's what I think is a place to start.
Thank you. Okay, the next question, which is related to that one. How will you ensure that parent engagement efforts are inclusive and accessible to all, including working parents, limited or non-English speakers, and those who are not familiar or comfortable with our public school system? And Faye, you go first this time.
Okay. Yes, that engagement of our community is an opportunity for us because of our experience in the last 2 years. Our parents had to become engaged, our grandparents, and we learned some things from that. Having working parents, having things in the evening, meeting the community and our parents where they are. Non-English speaking certainly is an issue, and perhaps for our district, we have our canal schools and our bahia. And we need to bring our Spanish-speaking and other non-English speaking people, meet them where they are, and then engage them there. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolina.
Yeah, so the question is, how are we ensuring that parents our community is being brought in inclusively, regardless of language or working parents? So our role as the board is to make sure that we're being inclusive. As someone that was raised with parents that were going to school at night to learn how to speak English, this is a critical topic for me. I think that one of the things our school is doing really well is that every event there is a bilingual access, whether it's headphones or doing it simultaneously. I also think we need to lean in on our CVOs or community-based organizations like Canal Alliance if we don't have enough support at events. I've also asked that events be done at different times. I personally work full-time. I don't often go to morning gathering at 9 a.m. on a Friday or Monday morning because I do work. So I think our school is thinking about, can we do virtual? Can we do it in the evening? So I think it's really bringing together our community and asking questions. When can you show up? When can these meetings happen? And as the leadership of this board is for us to make sure that we're being inclusive with language, with times, and also making sure that the locations are accessible, because we cannot assume that everyone has transportation. So thinking through all those things and creating strategies in combination with our community-based organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next question. With the influx of unaccompanied minors, how do you propose the district support these students in a meaningful way, specifically at the high school level? And Faye, would you go first, please?
Okay, yes. This is a tremendous challenge to us, and San Rafael being a sanctuary city, and we are, I think we have to, in fact, establish some new structures, new support things, and as Carolina said, bring in some of our community organizations that are skilled in this to build a support system around them. I think some of our partners that are sponsoring this tonight have tremendous programs for that, and have background in that for 10,000 degrees in the marine commerce. So for us in our school system and using the wonderful resources we have in our community based people and organizations that can help us in this and put in a support system, which we don't have now, or very little, or we're just starting as junior partners here. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm just going to pause for a minute. Faye, when you speak, could you get just a little bit closer to your computer, because your sound is coming across the whole garden.
Okay, all right.
Next time, just a little closer. Okay, thank you. Okay, Carolina?
Thank you.
You want me to repeat the question?
Yes, can you just briefly repeat the question so I make sure I have it all?
Yes. With the influx of unaccompanied minors, how do you propose the district support these students in a meaningful way, specifically at the high school level?
Thank you, Anne. Thanks for repeating it. Well, it is really our role as the school board to make sure that all students, regardless of when you come to this country, or if you're from this country, that you feel safe and welcomed. Our students, regardless of when they come, sometimes a school, high school, or middle school is the safest place that they are showing up. So it is our job to make sure that they're feeling safe and welcomed, and also make sure that they're thriving with and where they show up. And I think that we need to lean in our community liaison leaders that we have within our schools to help us do some assessments and figure out, what are the support services they need? Are they hungry? Do they feel safe? Do they have clothes? And where they are academically? And I do think it's also leaning in our community-based organizations that have resources that might be more than what we can do as a school system. And I also think we need to wrap ourselves around these students. I just attended a graduation last year at San Rafael High School while an unaccompanied minor came in and graduated and is going to a four-year institution. So I do think that we are doing what we can to make our students feel safe. I think we can be doing more work. And I think it's also leaning into our community and our community-based organizations. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What role can you, as a school board member, play in prioritizing and keeping San Rafael High School students engaged in their classes and promoting a healthier environment so they aren't influenced by drugs or alcohol? And Carolina, would you go first, please?
Well, yes, thank you. What can we do to keep our students more engaged in their classroom? Well, I think one of the things we're doing right now is making modern classrooms, right? We have these two big bonds that happened, and a lot of students are super excited about what their modern classrooms are going to look like. And I think the new facilities team is doing a great job with that. I also think our health and wellness centers are doing an excellent job of really bringing in our students and finding out what's happened during the pandemic and how can we enforce that they're feeling, healthy and well to be in the classroom. I think also working on our rigorous curriculum. Currently, we're creating a graduate profile. And how do you lead up to that? What does that look like for you when you're at that graduate profile, whether it's a four-year, whether it's a certified program, and getting them excited from middle school through high school. I think that our K-5 schools are doing a great job of getting students excited about that middle school and high school. So again, I think it's our modern classrooms that are coming. If you drive by San Rafael High School, you'll see what it looks like. I just did the ribbon cutting the other day. And also making sure that we are showing that profile of success for their senior year in high school. Thank you.
Thank you. Faye?
Yes, so engaging our students and prioritizing that as board members, I think again, the wonderful facilities that our voters have always voted for our bond measures, and we see the results that, and it's a place where the kids want to be and want to go. So making that attractive is a wonderful thing. The engagement, I think, also is happening in that the schools, the high schools, are starting to use the A to G, the public preparation course line that is sets them up to be on the path to university is a wonderful thing. And they thought they might have thought they were not set up for that, but they can also choose a trade path. And our trades program, our pathways program, is just a wonderful thing to see, and all of the options that the kids have. So I think we're doing a good job of getting them engaged, and it's the basis for keeping them engaged. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. The next question, what are your thoughts on the number of academic counselors available for students in our high schools? And what solutions do you have to improve the counselor to student ratio? Carolina?
Yes, thank you. And so, as someone with lived experience that had one academic counselor at my high school, and I had bilingual parents, I never think there's enough, right? We can use more. And I think that, as we all know right now, retaining teacher, recruiting teachers, finding bilingual teachers and counselors is really difficult. So I think that one of the things that the pandemic did show us, as someone that taught and worked with my kids during the pandemic, is that we can record seminars. We can use, like we're doing today, we're recording this video and, engaging students, and then having kind of just an all hands on deck. What can we do at schools? So I think it's a, adaptive approach of bringing what can we record in terms of a video that students can watch, bilingual, bicultural, or whatever they might need to have those academic high school counselors. And then what do we actually need to do that's in person, and creating strategies for each of those, because I think every student needs different things at different times. and academic high school counselors are really critical to that high school profile. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Faye?
Yes, the academic counselors, I think, are absolutely critical. I mean, in high school, I even had this experience with my daughter in college where she was not quite picking up on the academic counseling, and we did not choose the right line of courses for her first year or so, and got behind in fulfilling her requirements. So it's really critical that the kids know and the counselors help them to see the path to where they want to go, where their talents lie, and if they want to take a college path that they are able to get to. They will need hand-holding, and as we can do it online, we in some cases, but in many cases, the kids need face-to-face, and they need a counselor that they can trust. So, and be in contact with in person. So I think that those are some key points, and we as trustees can advocate for that.
Thank you. Okay, and this is a question, actually several of these questions are submitted by the community. So we're really pleased that folks sent in questions. Currently, San Rafael's low-income families must pay $800 per year for transportation to send their children to public schools. This is a huge burden for families who may have lost their job or have reduced hours from the pandemic and must prioritize food and rent. What solutions do you have? And Faye, would you go first, please?
This is a real challenge. Can we find resources in our community to, I'll say, almost give scholarships to people who need them and who are using that busing transportation? Maybe that's the path we have to take. Or as board trustees, we may need to ask our finances, our superintendent, do they have a solution, grant money where we can offset some of this expense for families that cannot do that transportation and take that into their budget. That's a really big burden, $800 for transportation. So I can sympathize with that, and I would certainly make that a priority to talk to our financial people and the superintendent. Can we come up with a solution?
Thank you. Carolina.
Thank you, Anne. I agree with Faye. This is definitely a very difficult situation. When we look at where our high density population of students are located, it's definitely in one area that has heavy busing, and it is a huge expense. And I would think of how can we think of creating public-private partnerships, whether it's with our, local bus systems that we already have publicly. Also thinking about, I think the pandemic did provide funding for new areas that, the government said, where have we found these situations or these challenges that actually already existed and now they're really heightened. And one of those examples is people really thought that food insecurity just happened during the pandemic. It was already happening before the pandemic. So I was very proud of our schools for still providing hot meals and meals at our local schools. But I do think that we need to really reimagine with gas prices, with all the things that are happening, that transportation is really difficult. So how do we lean in, either work with our community-based organizations, look for funding, or find ways that we think about where our students are going to school, because the high density of where our students are is in a specific area that does actually include a lot of busing. So definitely an area for us to discover and explore and find solutions for our families.
Thank you. Next question. How do you plan to increase the number of teachers of color in pre-K through 12? through the whole pre-K to through high school. And Faye, would you go first?
Okay, very good. Yes. I think as having been in human resources at one point, I think there is opportunity to work with the Marin County Office of Education in some of the and consolidate almost every school district in Marin County has this problem. And because of our population changes and demographics that are coming in. So we need to work together to partner with our other schools, our Marin County Office of Education, and be out in, we may need to be the premier advertiser and recruiter of teachers of color and teachers that really match the profile or mirror the students that we're having. I heard the other day a comment that students, and I think this is true of all of us, they feel more comfortable if their teachers are a mirror of themselves. It's easier for them to be settled down and learn more common. So I thought that was an interesting concept, but it's doable.
Thank you, Faye. Carolina.
Thank you so much, Anne. I am really proud to say that currently San Rafael City Schools is launching a teacher residency program that is actually in action right now and launching. So that I'll just pause there and say super exciting. What I do agree, we need to create a teacher pipeline. It is a challenge and it is something that's not happening just here, but all over the country. I do think we need to partner with universities. All the universities, we are rich in universities in the Bay Area, and they all have education programs. As someone that went through an educational program to become a teacher, I think also we need to retain the teachers that we do have. We do have great teachers and create professional development that's robust, that shows them a pipeline of their future. I also think aggressively we need to work with community-based organizations. I was a teacher for Summer Bridge internship, and I taught in New Hampshire, then I came back and taught in LA. So I think that there are community-based organizations that are really focusing on creating bicultural, bilingual, BIPOC educators all over the United States, not just here in the Bay Area. So thinking of how we are aligning with organizations that are creating that pipeline and how are we showing up saying we want to partner with you. So I do think it's a top priority for us to hire bilingual, bicultural teachers here in San Rafael City Schools, and I'm proud to be a part of that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What are your views on required school vaccinations, including COVID vaccinations? And Carolina, would you begin that, please?
Yes, thank you for that question. So I've answered this before, that I was just really eager and excited when my children were able to go and get their first vaccine. I think that they were learning how to feel safe again, even though they still had to wear their masks. But I do believe it's a conversation that parents need to have with schools and with their own doctors. I also think we need to have informed decisions. And so I believe in the right of the family to communicate with the school and also be informed by our local health department as to what is the best thing for students. But I am for the right vaccinations. I came to this country so I could get all my vaccines, so I could go to school here in the United States. So I am always supportive of making sure we keep everyone safe in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. Faye?
Yes, the required school vaccinations, the childhood immunization schedule, it is in the state law, and we should be following the state law. And I do believe that our school district certainly did that, and we also depended upon the Health and Human Services Department to guide us in the what to do and how to operate in relationship with COVID, which is not in the childhood immunization schedule. It is a mandate, an experimental use vaccine, and a mandate is not the law. So It is up to the family to make that decision as to how they're going to, for their family members and their children, how they are going to participate in the COVID vaccinations. And that, I think, is a decision, a family decision at this point. If someday it becomes a childhood immunization schedule, then that is the state law for entering the school.
Thank you, Faye. Okay, next question. What are your priorities to ensure there is a meaningful district-wide approach to advancing racial equity? And what indicators would you focus on? Carolina.
Well, we have a lot of work to do. So yes, equity does not happen overnight, right? So I do think that everything that we're currently doing in our schools is looking with an equity lens. Even our modernization of our schools is really looking at what our schools need. I also think that we are doing some, data assessment about what our youth needs, and also that usually means what does our family mean? And so how are we also bridging that gap amongst our communities? I know that we are doing, even with our new facilities, is bringing families together about what are the needs that we all have per school, and how does that look into the development of the future of that school. But I do think that, this is a systemic problem. We do have challenges in San Rafael, but we need to communicate and bring people together and talk about how can we make markers that help us feel good about the future ahead. But I do think that it is a long journey, and all of us, regardless of where we are, we all need to show up and have these hard conversations. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. Okay.
Yes, an approach to racial equity. One of the things that occurred to me, and I looked it up, was we have a demographic that is changing, the incoming demographic into our elementary schools. And we are seeing more and more people of color, and it's evidenced. So I think just by virtue of the incoming population, this problem that we're seeing, racial equity, we're going to be working on it with everybody coming into schools. And I think an interesting little statistic was that 72% of the children in elementary school in our school district are people of color. And then you go to the high school and it's 60%. Well, that wave is going to start, building, and pretty soon our high schools will be at 70%, and our elementary schools will be at 80 or 90%. So the racial equity is going to be maybe not a difference between people of color and people of power, but it might be simply the entire population that we're working with that we need to bring forward and participate in our community and in our society.
Thank you. Next question. What actions will you take to develop more opportunities for scholarships so that our young people who have the desire to excel can go to four-year colleges? And we will begin with Faye this time.
Okay. Yes, I think there's a lot of scholarship money out there that is untapped. Organizations of many kinds, and we have in San Rafael, in Marin County, we have organizations that do offer scholarships. I think the issue that we had of the high school counselor, the academic counselor, is one that we can tap into, that we should hook these two issues up to, and the rigorous scholarship, cabinet should be held and developed so that we can pull those scholarships off. We have relationships with organizations that are giving scholarships, and that we can bring them into a match with the kids that have their eye on going to four-year colleges.
Carolina.
Thank you, Anne. So I was an executive director of an organization that focused on youth in poverty and getting into their four-year dream, very similar to, 10,000 Degrees, which I have such, support for. But I think one of the things that's really critical is when a student is going into high school is having, those academic counselors really align with them, what their journey needs to look like, not just freshman year, but throughout their entire time at the high school. And then think of, what does that roadmap look like? What does that profile look like? And also align them with organizations or universities that say, if you want to go, I'll just say Dominican, here's what it looks like to get a scholarship. Here's what it looks like to get that access. And also partnering with organizations like 10,000 Degrees, Next Generation Scholars. And there's also great programs at our high schools that are AVID focused that really help those students think about what does that career trajectory look like, and actually talking about it early. So I think the earlier the better, talking with our youth, seeing what their dreams are, and creating that pathway with them in partnership with organizations, because we can't all do it together, and making sure that they leave college with, or whatever their path is, with little to no debt. Thank you so much.
All right, so the next question, and we'll begin with Faye. What will you do to understand the situation on the ground? That is the reality of our faculty, staff, school leaders, students, and families, what they experience every day.
I think, I think going out and meeting them where they are, having conversations, creating opportunities, especially with our faculty and staff. They are the backbone of our keeping everything going. And as a board member, a trustee, I think there can be nothing more valuable than spending my time where I'm not in a board meeting and out in the schools with those staff members, those teachers, and letting them teach me what is their life like, what are their needs, and then let me take that and be an advocate on behalf of the students and the teachers and the community for public education and what is happening in our schools with our educational issues. They are the people that know them.
Thank you, Faye. Carolina.
Thank you, Anne. Well, I'm lucky enough to be a proud mom of twins, so my feet are on the ground every day. So I definitely at drop off, I talk to our teachers and I talk to our principal, and, I see what's happening. I see that whether it's a short day and there's a training going on. So I think by being on campus, I'm also able to translate if I need to on the spot. So I try and stay as current as I can, not only with my school, but with all the schools in our community. I also was very privileged to be a part of our school site council for 2 years and understanding, like, how do we reimagine our mission statement during this time after post-pandemic? And so I think that, I am very proud of saying, even though I do work full time, I volunteer as much as I can in the community. And I am a proud, advocate for all of our youth and all of our community members and also our bilingual parents. So I am definitely always boots on the ground. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, this is our last question. What do you understand the current priorities of the district to be? And do you agree with them? If not, what do you think the top priority should be? And Carolina, will you start us off?
Yes, thank you, Anne. Well, I think, there's a lot of priorities, right? We're post-pandemic, but I do think that the learning loss is really a large priority for our school currently right now. We also have funding that is focused on extended learning opportunities for our youth and our students, and making sure we're keeping them as long as we can in the classroom or at our schools, and making sure we have the right programs for them. I also, in accelerating their learning with that support, I also think retaining and hiring and working with our teachers. I know that there's such, it's really hard right now to recruit, whether it's a principal, a counselor, a teacher, and ensuring that we're creating a pipeline because we are struggling to recruit and support the staff that we have right now. It's definitely been a difficult past 2 years for them. And we need to see that. I also think our graduation rate is, as I mentioned before, currently our schools are creating a graduation profile. And I think that really enables our students to think about what the future looks like. I also want to say that we're really focused on school safety as well, as we've known what's been happening at our schools. And last is our wellness of our students, our mental and health and wellness of our students. And thank you.
Thank you. Faye?
Yes, San Rafael schools, as I compare it with other city schools and our district, has a strategic plan that is very impressive. And in looking at our other school districts, people are amazed when I pull it out, the Together 2024 plan. It is four, and I'm not sure I can remember them all, but four main pillars. One is the English language learning and making sure that that is in place for the number of students that are needing to get up to grade level and even approaching getting the basis for getting to grade level. That's a great priority. And I know when I spoke to Mr. Hogelboom, he said that was his #1 priority. We also, as Carolina mentioned, have the wellness centers, and which have just been put into place, or I won't say just, but we in fact have a counselor now in every school, and the mental health situation that resulted from COVID, we have a handle on it, and going forward, we've got a support basis that we can get to what the students need in order to, I'll say, be more calm in their mental health, and that will help them to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, Faye. Okay, that concludes the question portion of the forum. Before the candidates make their closing statements, I want to share some key information about this year's election. New this year, Marin County has implemented the Voters' Choice Act, offering more days and more ways to vote. Earlier this week, every active registered voter was sent a mail-in ballot. Ballots can be returned by U.S. mail, at an official secure ballot drop box, or at a vote center. For in-person voting, vote centers replace assigned neighborhood polling places. Voters may vote in person at any vote center in Marin. A complete list of locations is included in your Marin County Voter Information Guide. All vote centers will be open at least 4 days before Election Day. If you have questions about any of this, please reach out to Marin County's election department in person, online, or by phone. Slide 1, please. Here are some important dates. Ballots were actually mailed this last Monday, or they began to be mailed. So some of you may already have your ballots. Official drop boxes are now available. They became available on Tuesday. October 24th is the last day to register to vote online. After that date, you can still register in person at a vote center or at the elections department. Some of the vote centers will be open on October 29th. All others open up on November 5th. November 8th is Election Day, of course, and vote centers are open until 8 p.m. Mail ballots must be postmarked no later than this date. Ballots returned using a drop box must be deposited by 8 p.m. on November 8th. And please remember to sign your ballot if you return it by mail or in a drop box. Your signature is your verification. Slide 2, please. There are many online resources for election information, including the League's website at marinlwv.org. I want to highlight one of these. Voter's Edge is an online tool that provides unbiased, in-depth information about what's on your ballot in English and in Spanish. It is a project of the League of Women Voters. Candidates are invited to enter their information into Voters Edge, and voters can get a personalized list of candidates by entering their address. They can get information about candidates, including their biographies and top priorities, and also information about local ballot measures and more. So please visit votersedge.org. You'll see this slide again at the end of the forum so you can take a photo or make notes. Thank you. And now the candidates will make closing statements of 2 minutes each. We will go in reverse order of the opening statements, starting with Carolina.
Right. Thank you, Anne. Thank you again for having me and the League of Women Voters in Marin. And just as I said at the opening, I am a proud mom of 3rd grade children in San Rafael City Schools, a past public school teacher, and a product of our K-12 public schools. I came to this country at the age of 2 from Mexico City, and I'm very proud to be bicultural and bilingual. I moved to San Rafael over 12 years ago and have committed myself to service and supporting everyone in our community. I fully believe in the power of public education, and that is why my undergraduate degree is in education and became a public school teacher. And that is why my master's is in educational leadership and administration. And I've spent my career focused on educational advocacy, youth, economic mobility, and working with organizations fighting poverty. I believe that my experience and my background as a public school teacher, a mom, a lifelong public school advocate serves me well to continue my role and serve in San Rafael City Schools for parents, for students, and for teachers. And I am supported by the Democratic Party, my teachers, my fellow school trustee, city council members, and our first female mayor, Kate Collin. And thank you again for this evening. Mil gracias a todos que están aquí conmigo. And I appreciate the time.
Hey.
Yes, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for their service to our community and to our host partners. Very impressive list. In presenting this forum for our neighbors in Trustee Area 4, you've given us the ability to explore issues that are key to the successful education of our children in San Rafael City Schools. For all of us in this forum and watching, it's about the kids. We are focused on the kids and our obligation to them as the adults in the community to provide them with basic academic skills so that they can succeed in their education and move successfully to their future lives. That has many layers which we have discussed. As your school board trustee, I'm committed to 3 priorities. I stated academic achievement, meaning kids need to perform up to grade level math, reading, and writing. They don't today, and I think that's critical and my #1 priority as a school board member. Safety is of utmost importance because kids cannot learn if they don't feel safe. 2 areas in today's world, safety importance, fentanyl use, because of how dangerous this poison is. Marin County Office of Education declared a fentanyl crisis, and the high school students were involved in that effort. Child sex trafficking, Marin is the hub of the Bay Area in human trafficking. In mid-September, in the Marin News, was reported 5 felons were arrested for trafficking juveniles. And finally, engagement. This is the notion that we're all involved, parents and community in our public schools. That's what we're doing here today, everyone who's attending. And I invite you to join me in that now. I ask you for your vote on November 8th. I'm committed to serving our community as trustee for San Rafael City Schools.
Thank you both. Thank you to our host partners, to the candidates for participating, and to the League Forum team and our Spanish interpretation. A video of tonight's forum will be posted on the League's website in the next few days. And we will have this video both in Spanish and in English. Thank you for joining us this evening, and most important, thank you for voting. And now a few final comments from one of our host partners, Tracy Lanier, Vice President of 10,000 Degrees.
Thank you. I just wanted to echo my thanks this evening, our thanks to Faye and Carolina for this thoughtful conversation. As our moderator mentioned, I'm Tracy with 10,000 Degrees. We help students in Marin and beyond get to and through college and post-secondary opportunities. San Rafael City Schools is one of our longest standing partnerships, and we're just thrilled that many alumni of the San Rafael and 10,000 Degrees are back on our staff, on the city schools staff, and in organizations throughout the county. Also, again, want to thank the League of Women Voters for facilitating this forum among so many others this season, as well as my co-hosts, partners, Community Action Marin, Marin Promise, Canal Alliance, and Schools Rule. There's such a unique opportunity in San Rafael to impact young people with schools that truly meet them where they are, that provide resources, support, rigor, and opportunity for all our young people. The school board, as we heard tonight, is such a critical component of that. And thank you to everyone who joined on this call for getting involved, for asking questions, all the submitted questions, and participating in this election, and the meetings and conversations and debates that are still to come. Our students need all of us to be involved. So please watch for your ballot and vote. And thank you so much.